What primal fear would grip a man so tightly that he would run for his life, abandoning everything he knows, leaving everything behind in a desperate escape? Wallet, a symbol of identity and security; passport, his ticket home, his connection to his past and future; phone, his lifeline to the world, right in the middle of a busy airport? A place teeming with people, yet utterly alone in his terror. This isn't a scene from an action movie. This is the perplexing, real-life mystery of Lars Mittank, a case that has baffled authorities and armchair detectives alike. A 28-year-old German on vacation, seemingly enjoying a carefree getaway, suddenly vanishes without a trace. Security cameras capture him, visibly terrified and agitated, sprinting desperately out of Varna airport, a place that should have been a gateway to safety, scaling a formidable barbed wire fence, a desperate act fueled by an unknown fear, and disappearing into the dense, unforgiving forest. He's never been seen or heard from again, leaving behind a void of unanswered questions. For over a decade, this perplexing case has haunted investigators, captivated internet sleuths, and left his loved ones in agonizing suspense. What could possibly drive a seemingly healthy, rational young man on the cusp of returning home to abandon all logic, reason, and every possession, and run for his life in such a frantic manner? The airport became the last confirmed place Lars was ever seen, a place of transition and hope, tragically turned into a dead end. Was he running from a tangible, real-world threat, a pursuer lurking in the shadows? Or was he fleeing from something far more insidious, a tormentor born from the depths of his own mind? His family is left desperately searching for answers, forever trapped in a torturous limbo of uncertainty and grief. July 8, 2014. A day that began with the promise of a flight home, a return to normalcy, tragically ended in a baffling mystery that endures to this very day. We're going to meticulously break down the available evidence, scrutinizing every detail, the established timeline of events, piecing together the fragments of his final days, and the myriad of theories surrounding his disappearance, exploring every possible explanation. Let's see if we can finally shed some much-needed light on the perplexing events that transpired and what ultimately happened to Lars Mittank. Who was Lars Mittank? Just a regular guy from Germany, steady job, loving family, football fan. He and his friends went to Golden Sands, Bulgaria for a summer getaway. The trip was all sun beaches and World Cup games. Lars was in constant contact with his girlfriend, sending happy messages. Everything seemed normal, until the last day. The group's flight home was set for July 7, 2014, but Lars didn't board that plane. A minor argument over football would trigger a chain of events that changed everything. The carefree tourist was about to become the center of a global mystery. As the vacation ended, Lars's behavior shifted. He grew anxious, withdrawn, his friends noticed, but no one could have predicted what would come next. One small incident would spiral into a nightmare. Lars was about to be left alone, stranded and terrified in a foreign country. The turning point, the moment when everything began to unravel, came after a seemingly ordinary night out with friends. It was a scuffle with rival football fans, a clash of loyalties fueled by alcohol and adrenaline. In the heat of the moment, Lars took a blow to the ear, an unexpected strike that would have far-reaching consequences. At first it seemed minor, easily dismissed as a temporary ache, but the next day, the pain intensified, becoming a persistent throbbing that wouldn't subside. A visit to the doctor revealed the unsettling truth: a ruptured eardrum, a delicate membrane torn by the force of the blow. The doctor issued a stern warning, advising him not to fly, as the pressure changes could cause further damage and excruciating pain. His friends, oblivious to the severity of his condition, left as planned, eager to embark on their long-awaited adventure. Lars stayed behind, grounded by his injury, feeling isolated and vulnerable in the bustling airport terminal. With no other options, he checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, a temporary refuge from the growing storm inside his mind. It was in that sterile, impersonal room that his paranoia exploded, a terrifying eruption of fear and suspicion. Overcome with anxiety, he called his mother, his voice trembling with fear. He began whispering frantically, convinced that men were following him, lurking in the shadows, their intentions unknown, but undoubtedly sinister. He was certain they were trying to kill him, that his life was in imminent danger. In a desperate plea, he begged her to cancel his credit cards, convinced that they were being tracked, that every transaction was being monitored by his pursuers. Driven by an overwhelming sense of dread, in the middle of the night, he fled his hotel, abandoning his belongings in his wake. He left his luggage behind, a testament to his escalating panic and irrational fear. He called his mother again, his voice laced with a mixture of fear and exhaustion. He claimed he'd escaped, that he had managed to evade his pursuers, at least for the moment. He said he was now at the airport, seeking refuge in the anonymity of the crowds. He knew he needed a doctor's clearance to fly, a medical certificate to override the initial warning. But he insisted the men were still after him, that they were closing in, their presence a constant looming threat. Lars's fear was now overwhelming, a suffocating blanket of paranoia that clouded his judgment and distorted his perception of reality. Real or imagined, it consumed him entirely, blurring the lines between what was real and what was a product of his increasingly fractured mind. Alone, injured and terrified, his grip on reality was slipping with each passing moment. He was spiraling out of control, descending into a vortex of fear and delusion. The next morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky, he would make his final desperate move, a gamble born of desperation and fueled by paranoia. The nightmare was about to reach its peak, the culmination of a series of events that had pushed Lars to the brink of sanity. The date is July 8, 2014. The location, Varna Airport, a bustling hub in Bulgaria. Lars arrives at the terminal, seemingly like any other traveler. He sends a quick text to his mother, letting her know he's made it to the airport safely. Before his flight, he makes a stop at the airport medical office for a routine medical clearance to fly. The examining doctor notes that Lars appears unusually nervous and agitated. His pupils are dilated, and he seems generally on edge, exhibiting signs of heightened anxiety. Suddenly, a construction worker casually enters the office, and something triggers a profound panic in Lars. Overcome with fear, he mutters, "I don't want to die here." And in a split second, he bolts from the room, driven by an unseen terror. Security cameras begin to record his frantic escape, capturing him sprinting through the busy airport terminal. In his desperate flight, he starts dropping his belongings, his wallet, his phone, all scattered on the floor in his wake. Even his passport is abandoned. He bursts outside, running wildly across the open airport grounds, with no apparent destination in mind. He reaches the perimeter and scales an 8-foot-high barbed wire fence, a desperate act fueled by unimaginable fear. And then he disappears into a vast field of sunflowers, swallowed by the tall stalks. That's the last anyone ever sees of Lars Mittank. He vanishes without a trace. No trace, no clues, nothing to explain his sudden and terrifying flight. All that remains is a haunting video and a mountain of unanswered questions. Did he see something that triggered such a primal fear response? Was he suffering from a mental break, hallucinating threats that weren't really there? Or was someone really after him, a pursuer unseen by the cameras, driving him to such desperate measures? The footage is chilling, a raw glimpse into a moment of sheer terror. A man running for his life, from something or someone we can't see. And then silence. Nothing. The world is left to wonder, what truly happened in those final, frantic moments? What drove Lars Mittank to run? The bizarre case quickly becomes an internet obsession, sparking countless theories and discussions. And so, the search for answers begins, a quest to unravel one of the most perplexing disappearances of modern times. What happened to Lars? Theories abound. Was he targeted by criminals after the bar fight? Did he witness something he shouldn't have? Some believe his paranoia was justified. He was running from real danger. Others point to his medication, cefuroxime, known, in rare cases, to cause severe psychiatric side effects. Was it a drug reaction, stress, or a psychotic break? Or did a hidden mental health issue finally surface under pressure? The symptoms, paranoia, fear, disorganized thinking, fit. There's also the theory he chose to disappear, but it doesn't add up. He left everything behind, and his calls sounded desperate, not planned. Maybe he tried to survive in the wild, or maybe he met with foul play after fleeing. Each theory raises more questions than answers. Was it fear, foul play, or a fractured mind? The truth remains elusive, and the world keeps searching. In the years since, Lars Mittank has become a digital ghost. His final moments are among the internet's most analyzed missing person footage. Online communities dissect every frame, every theory. His mother, Sandra, never stops searching, running social media campaigns, hiring investigators, chasing every lead. Bulgarian and German police searched the area with dogs, helicopters, and thermal cameras. They found nothing. No body, no belongings, no trace. It's as if Lars vanished into thin air. The case remains open, but cold. The ambiguity is what keeps people hooked. a young man, a minor injury, and a sudden, inexplicable disappearance. We see his fear, but we can't understand it. The footage forces us to confront how fragile the mind and life can be. The lack of answers is what haunts us. It's a story with no ending. More than a decade later, we're no closer to the truth. Did Lars fall victim to criminals, the elements, or his own mind? The sunflower field he vanished into has been harvested and replanted many times, but for his family, time stands still. Sometimes people simply vanish, leaving only questions. Lars's story is a tragedy, a mystery, and a warning. It preys on our deepest fears, the unknown, losing control, being lost far from home. His family and the world are still waiting for answers. After all the theories and searching, the fundamental mystery remains. What happened to Lars Mittank? Will we ever know? The world is still waiting, and so is his mother.